Hey everybody, we're going to look at the latest offering from ThiEYE, the T5e, a true native 4K camera, action camera. So today we're looking at the ThiEYE T5e. It is a native 4K camera. Inside the packaging you get the waterproof case, and I will tell you it is kind of no frills. You get just a couple of accessories with it, so it's not a plethora of accessories. You have the lens cleaning cloth, a few attachments with it. You get the charging cable for the battery, and you get an extra battery with it. Now the extra battery is an 1100 milliamp per hour battery, so you do get some long life out of it. Here's some of the specs on it. It is an authentic 4K 30 frames per second camera. It has the Umbrella A12S processor. It has a Sony IMX117 sensor, has electronic image stabilization, 2-inch LCD screen, and like I said earlier, it comes with 2 batteries. And some of the other features of the ThiEYE T5e is that you can take photos at 16 megapixels, has electronic image stabilization, 170 degrees super wide angle view. You can do time-lapse videos. Now it says that it's waterproof up to 197 feet, which is 60 meters that they claim, but I'll touch on that a little bit later because that case was nowhere near waterproof to that deep. Like I said, I'll touch on it a little bit later on. And it's also wearable and mountable like a lot of action cameras today. Now, one thing I will say about this ThiEYE T5e, the build quality is very nice on it. It is made out of plastic. Now the outside edges have that rubberized feel to it. Here's the side. You've got your micro SD, HDMI, and look at there. Is that an audio input port? I'll touch on that a little bit later too. On the other side, you've got your toggle switches up and down, which is going to be for the menu system. And one thing I really like about this, it has a battery drawer. Not the little battery lip thing. It actually has a drawer that is spring-loaded, which I find incredibly useful for these action cameras. And of course, you see that? It is a 1/4-20 tripod screw on the bottom. Wish all action cameras would do that. Top one is for Wi-Fi or to toggle through the menus or your shutter button. And here's some of the resolutions that you can have with this camera. Now I did do some 1080. I did do at 30 frames, 60 frames, and also the 4K, because that's what I was really interested in. How is this guy going to perform at 4K? Because, you know, if it's really a native 4K, let's check it out. Now, as a lot of you know, I just got back from a vacation in Florida with my family, and it was a great opportunity to take the ThiEYE T5e and actually put it through its paces in a real-world environment. And here's some of the shots that I got at sunset on one of the nights that we were there. The detail in 4K, I was extremely impressed with this. The color representation, the detail, the sharpness, it was all great. Now everything that you're looking at right now is straight out of the camera. It has not been color corrected or color graded at all. So I wanted you to see just how lifelike and true that the colors are and how vivid that the colors are. Now there's some that would say that the colors are a little bit oversaturated, and you know, it does hint a little bit at orange and reds, but overall, it is fantastic. Its low light capability I was really impressed with. And you know, I'm going to touch on low light in another video for those of you that have action cameras and how you can improve the low light. But here's this nice little shot. It had the camera on a little tripod on its waterproof case, just right at the shoreline, just watching the waves come in. And just overall, just super impressed. I was expecting a little bit less out of this camera, and I was very impressed to see that it actually performed better than what I thought. So here are some of the things that I really like about this camera. When they say that it's a true 4K camera, you know what? It actually is. It is a native 4K, and I think the 4K is phenomenal on this. Now, it does not offer image stabilization at 4K or at 2K. It only goes image stabilization 1080p up to 60 frames per second. But you know, the image stabilization is very nice on this camera as well. I'll try to throw in a shot of it using the image stabilization at 1080. It's very unique that it has the audio in. So it is a little 2.5 millimeter. It's not a 3.5. It's a 2.5 millimeter input. So I did try to get a 2.5 millimeter to female 3.5 millimeter so I could plug in a lavalier mic just to see how it would sound. And there's an issue. The issue is that the male end of the 2.5 millimeter, and I actually ordered a couple different brands just to see, but it does not go into the casing far enough to actually make contact. Now, if you forcefully push it in, it'll make contact, and then the audio, it does work. But I will say that I know that ThiEYE has just released, at least in the UK, an external microphone for the T5e, and hopefully it'll be available in the US here shortly so that we can test it out. And maybe the male end is going to be a little bit longer on it to fit in there. I did see a video online where someone had taken a knife and shaved that outer edge off to allow the outer ring of the 2.5 millimeter jack to actually go in deeper to make a good connection. Other than that, I mean, flaws and faults with this camera, I'll tell you, the audio in is a little bit of an issue because, you know, like I said, it doesn't plug in all the way. Now let's touch on the waterproof case for a second. Now that waterproof case is supposed to go to 197 feet, 60 meters. I had an issue with this camera and its waterproof case in the ocean, and I only had it maybe 3 feet to 4 feet deep. And all of a sudden I looked and the lens was getting all foggy inside. And usually that's an indication of water penetration. So I had opened up the case, pulled the camera out, and sure enough, there was a couple little droplets, and it's right around the power on off at the front of the case where it was leaking through. Now, that is a big issue, because if anybody thinks that a waterproof case like this is going to be able to go 60 meters, just imagine the amount of water pressure at 60 meters that's going to be pushing on these buttons. All of these buttons are going to be compromised, and the seal is going to be compromised. Is it a deal breaker for me that the waterproof case started leaking at 3 feet? Well, I say no, it's not a deal breaker for me, and I'll tell you why. Because the camera didn't go toast on me. I was out in the ocean, so that's salt water. Salt water would have ruined this camera quickly. But luckily, it survived. It didn't get any water internally into the camera to mess with it. Now, if the camera had gotten ruined, yes, I would definitely say that is a huge deal breaker. And ThiEYE, you need to replace this camera. So I don't know if it's a flaw in the design. I did see another review where someone had the same issue, where they were using a waterproof case and it started leaking. I believe theirs was at the top shutter button, but mine was at the power button. So obviously it's an issue I'm not going to try again in waters. But, you know, overall, is this a great camera? You know, it's hard to find fault with this because the audio sounds decent on it. The video quality is very, very nice. And in post, you can do a lot to really amp up the quality. Now, keep in mind, this is an action camera. So, you know, you're not talking about a full-size DSLR. You're not talking about a camcorder. It's an action camera. But for an action camera, I was so impressed with the 4K quality of the footage that came out that you just can't go wrong. So in my eyes, for the price point of this camera, being a native 4K, I think it's fantastic. It's got a great processor with the Umbrella 125S. It's got a great sensor with the Sony IMX117. So all around, I think it's a great buy all the way around. I'll put a link in the description below so that you can check it out yourself. But if you have any questions, please post them down below. ThiEYE, I think you've done a very good job with this camera. And as always, thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up and be sure to share it. And also, if you have a question, comment below because I respond to all comments. And if you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe today and click on the bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a video.